Hello there, welcome back for another Miss Ink Stamps video. I'm Cassie. Today we're going to be making a scene card, but let's talk about what we're using. This is this darling stamp set called Dumpster Fire. It has so many great sets or stamps in it, and I will just say Miss Ink Stamps has some of the best line of snarky stamps, and this one is by far one of my favorites, for sure. And yeah, they also have matching dies to go along with it, so you can cut out your dumpster and your little trash cans and your little pieces. So we're going to go ahead and stamp out the images that I want for my scene. I'm going to use the little trash panda in his trash can along with some other little garbage elements and the fire. So this coloring is very simple. I'm putting those colors up on the screen for you. I am using my Olo markers. I stamped that out using some Black Widow Stellar ink, which is just really great for alcohol marker coloring. I love this because it's always crisp and black and stamps just beautifully, and then it dries so quickly, so I never have to worry about any issue with things bleeding into the ink bleeding into any of the alcohol markers. So you'll notice I bring in a rag. On occasion, my Ola markers will get a little extra juicy, and if you just pay attention to the tip and you see it getting really shiny, sometimes you just have to wipe it off. I typically don't have too many problems as long as I'm paying attention. I know there are some tricks like keep your caps off, like as you're going to use them, take the caps off and let them kind of sit on their side for a little while. But sometimes you're just kind of in a hurry, so I just like to make sure that I have a rag close by and I watch the tip and try to pay attention to how the flow is going. So you can see I just wiped it off there on that cloth, and no big deal, but no one can ever accuse the Olo markers of not being juicy, that is for sure. So we're just bringing in various colors, again putting those up on the screen so that you can see how I'm coloring this. But as I am putting this card up on YouTube, today is my actual pack out. So I just thought this stamp set was so perfect for the time of my life right now. Not that it's a dumpster fire, but just simply because we're moving and it's always a little chaotic. And I know people are probably real tired of hearing about the move, but it has been going on for a long time coming. And I know typically moves, if you are a civilian, are simple, probably. I mean, not that hard. But this is a government move, so nothing can be simple when you're talking about a government move. All right, we're bringing in those matching dies, not only for our trash can, but also our little trash pieces and our fire. And we're going to run that through a die cutting machine. And then I do have a piece of cardstock. This isn't anything special. If you do plan to do a lot to it as far as mixed media, I would highly suggest getting a mixed media cardstock. But this is just some regular cardstock. And I did pull some mint tape and I tore that in half. I'm trying to build a scene. And this is just a super simple way to do that without needing too many extra supplies. So I've put a little bit of that mint tape down. It's masking off the bottom. And I'm placing my pieces down just to kind of get an idea where I want color to go because I'm going to do some ink blending. So I've brought in some shooting star ink and I use my blending buddy and I'm just making a circle of yellow there. That's where my fire is going to go. And so then I'll bring in a couple other colors from that Simon Hurley Create line. Those will be linked down below, and I'm just going to blend those onto my cardstock using another blending brush. So I'll start with the edges and I'll blend into the center, getting lighter as we get towards that fire, because that's how a fire would be. It would be light all around it mostly. So we've done our blue, our lighter blue called Crybaby. Then we're going to bring in our next color, which is Midnight Snack. And then we'll again start at the edges and bring that color in just to blend it in with that Crybaby blue. And then we'll one more time bring in our yellow just to make sure that I didn't cover those edges too much because I kind of crossed the line there a little bit, but you get the gist. This is going to give you that scene of a fire going. But I do share the tip here in a little bit of how you don't have to blend perfectly. There is always a way to cover a multitude of problems if you use splatter. And I know not everybody loves splatter. I just really like it because, especially in a scene like this, it's going to end up giving that impression of stars, which is nice because this is a nighttime scene. And here's that other piece of the mint tape that I've brought in because I did save that. And so that way I can just put it right over the top of what I just masked and it lines up really well. Now, I didn't line it up perfectly, which I mean isn't really a big deal. There does end up being a little bit of a shadow of the white, but I'm going to cover that with an Olo marker also. So we're going to add a little bit more texture to this background of the green. We're going to add some blades of grass. So I'm going to pull that away, clean up my mess, and then you can see how that scene is unfolding. Again, it's not a perfect blend. This isn't any sort of special cardstock. In fact, I think it's some cheapy cardstock that I really had in my stash. And you can see that little bit of white halo. Here's where I'm bringing in another green Olo, and I'm just kind of doing some flicking like it would be grass. So that'll cover up that white a little bit, and some of our pieces will cover that also, so I'm not that concerned. And then since I did it on the top, we'll add a few blades down in the piece just to make the scene a little bit more coherent and look a little bit more like grass down there. But again, I do want to bring in some sprays that I'm going to use to splatter on that background. Now this one's going to give it a star look. These are solar sprays by Simon Hurley Create. That first color that I'm using is called Deep End, and so it's going to give a blue hue if you look at that in the light. And then the next one that I use is a green. And this green is called Crocodile Tears. This stuff looks so pretty sprayed on black cardstock or really dark cardstocks, but it also works really well over colors. In this case, like for the splatter, if I hold this up to the light, which you're not going to be able to see very well on the camera, it does give a bit of a green hue to it as well, so I like that. I did trim down my panel. It is now 4 1/8 inch by 5.5 inches, so it's almost the full size of an A2 size card. I wanted to leave a little white border on that right hand side just to give a little bit more interest, and so I did attach that down to my card base, which measured 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and it was scored at 4 1/4, so it's a side folding A2 size card. And I'm just going to glue my pieces down. I thought about adding some foam tape to those, but I thought that's okay. We're going to have this be a nice flat card. I'm not even going to add any embellishments since those solar sprays do add so much to the card, but we're adding our little pieces. You've got a little apple core, a tin can, a bone, and then the stamp set also has several flies in it, and some of them have some little trails behind them like they're flying away, which is so funny. So we're going to put a couple of those around our trash and our trash can, and then we have a couple of little flies that are just tiny little flies, and there are dies to go along with those too, so if you wanted to die cut them out, but I'm just adding them. I'm stamping them around, so we've got our cute little flies all over the background. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which is so funny. It's trash can, not trash can't. And then on the inside of our card, when life gives you a dumpster fire, roast marshmallows. And what more positive way can you put it, right? So we'll stamp our dumpster using some orange ink, and then we're going to stamp a couple of our little trash pandas with their roasted marshmallows over that dumpster using some gray ink just to add a little bit to the inside of the card, have a little scene in there too. We'll trim down our sentiment. I'm going to add a fishtail banner on the end of both of those, and then we're going to attach that down with some glue also. And then once I do that, that's going to finish off the card. This one is so fun. It makes me smile every time I look at it. Um, yeah. So if you like this card, please be sure to hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And be sure to check out all that Missing Stamps has going on over on their blog, Facebook page, and Instagram for more crafty inspiration. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.